Hello, welcome to my channel, Indie Likes Books. My name is Indie and I like books. Today we're going to be going through my January 2026 roundup. This month I managed to finish 8 books. I think that's almost the most amount of books I've ever finished in a month. Maybe I did 9 at some point last year. I read 1,121 pages and I listened to 37 hours and 48 minutes worth of audiobooks. Now that is definitely the most amount of audiobooks I think I've ever listened to. But let's get into it. We're just going to have a little roundup and a little chat about each book. I will not go on, I promise. Let's try and keep this quick. So I started off the year finishing Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I do have a physical copy, but I did actually listen to the audiobook and I think that was a very good decision. The audiobook was narrated really well. Now there are footnotes in this book and I was concerned about how the footnotes would work on an audiobook, but that was absolutely done fine. If you don't know anything about Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, it's about a woman called Emily Wilde, surprisingly, and she researches fairies. She works at Cambridge University and she is going on a study to a place called Usland to research the types of fairies they have there. Usland is a made-up place, but it's in like Norway, Sweden, somewhere like that, so it's very, very snowy. The issue with Emily, I say issue, I don't think it's an issue. She's very autistic and therefore she's not particularly good at making friends with people. She's far more interested in fairies. So when she first gets there, she accidentally insults the leader of their village and everybody makes her life very, very difficult. She is struggling through and then a man called Wendell turns up who is her colleague at Cambridge. He's very good with people. He's not the sort of person I would like. Other people like him. He's a bit smarmy, you know. Emily isn't the biggest fan of him. He has been caught lying in research before and everything seems to come very easily to him. And she's worried that he's going to try and steal her thunder basically on this project she's doing. But it turns out he is actually just there to help her. So you've got like the building of their relationship going on, the research, the relationship with the town. It's interesting. I thought it was going to be a very cozy fantasy, which I'm not really into, but it's quite graphic in some places. There's removal of limbs and death and stuff. Maybe it's a little bit misrepresented, but that worked well for me because I actually ended up liking it a lot more than I expected. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars and I will definitely read the next one. The next book I finished was Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. This was a buddy read with Carly. I will tag her below. This is about a low probability event known as an LPE in the book that happens right near the beginning where 8 million people die and they die in really bizarre ways. So we're talking a chimpanzee dressed up as Hamlet smashing someone's head in with a typewriter. Those kind of deaths. It's very funny. If you're a fan of Final Destination, it definitely gave that vibe at the beginning. And then our main character is a statistician. And basically this event completely blows up her world because the probability of this happening is low, hence the name of the low probability event. And it just messes with her because it shouldn't have happened. Why has it happened? She can't cope with it basically. And she ends up lying on a sofa for 5 years basically. You don't read those 5 years, you skip ahead. And then an agent turns up who's working with an organisation who are investigating the LPE and they're pretty sure they've figured out the connections. They want her to help them catch the bad guys, which sounds really interesting. And it was for maybe the first half of the book, 2/3 of the book. There's like another low probability event that happens. Again, weird deaths, very funny to read. And then the reveal happens on what's causing these low probability events. And it's really naff. And myself and Carly both messaged each other when we got to this part of the book and were like, oh, that's kind of ruined everything. And then from there it just goes downhill and it gets worse and it gets weird, but not like in a fun weird way, just like really kind of basic kind of way. So I didn't enjoy most of this. I will be unhauling this book and I gave it 3 stars. And then unfortunately things got even worse and I read The Floating World by Axio. So this book is a Korean myth retelling and it follows 2 characters called Ren and Sun Ho. Ren is the celestial goddess. That's what the myth's about, the celestial goddess. She has had to run away from the floating world because of reasons. Her mum's died, she's had to leave. And she's basically grown up in like a performing troupe that travel around a different part of this world. A demon attacks her new family, She lets out her celestial light, and the people back at the floating world realise she's still alive. Some of them don't want her to be alive, some of them do want her to be alive. Lots of assassins are sent out to capture her. Half of them are sent to kill her, half of them are sent to capture her and bring her back for safety. Sun Ho is one of the ones that are sent to find her for safety. The beginning of the book's really good. So the first 100 pages, I was really into it, really engaged, kept thinking about it, wanted to read more. You've got the demons, you've got all this action happening, like a real introduction to everything. And then it just gets really, really boring. And it's a really short fantasy. And this is where all the issues came from. Basically, nothing is padded out. Everything is just skirted through. The chapters are all under 10 pages, but nothing interesting lasts more than a chapter. So something high stakes funny happens, like someone's kidnapped or something, and it's done within 8 to 10 pages. Nothing's carried on. And I don't know if it's because it's YA, so they're trying to keep it simple, but nothing's explained properly. There's a situation in the book where she knocks down some scaffolding and they're like, yay, she knocked down the scaffolding. But it's never explained why she's knocking down the scaffolding and what knocking down the scaffolding accomplishes. And I read it a few times to see if I was just being really dense, but no, it's just not explained. Nothing is padded out. The characters got really boring. The romance was, I don't know, maybe the only believable part of it. I would say it's a slow burn, but it was such a short book, it's not that slow. Very disappointing because it's a very pretty book, but I gave it 2.25 stars. And this is being on hold. Then I had my first reread of the month and I listened to The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I'm not going to go into The Hunger Games because everybody knows what it's about, but I gave it 5 stars. I just really think that story holds up. In fact, it's probably even more relevant now with everything that's going on in the world. It's quite stressful, but I just love The Hunger Games and I've come to terms with the fact that it's my favourite trilogy of all time. 5 stars. And actually, the month really picked up here because, spoiler alert, the rest of the books I read for the month were 5 stars, which is mind-blowing because last year, the whole of 2025, I had 5 5-star books. This month, I have had 5 5-star books. I have peaked. 2026 has peaked. No other month is going to live up to this. And I'm actually quite concerned for the rest of the year now. After The Hunger Games, I started the Zodiac Academy and I went in with The Awakening. If you watched my January TBR video, you'll know that I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy this or not, but I ate this shit up. This book is laced with crack. It is so addictive. Is it the best written book in the world? Absolutely not. Is it the most plot heavy book? No. This whole book is basically based on about 3 weeks of them being at a new school, but I loved it. I loved it. So if you don't know about the Zodiac Academy, it's about 2 girls who have grown up on our world. They are called Darcy and Tori, they're twins. And right at the beginning of the book, a man called Orion turns up. He is a teacher at the Zodiac Academy, like a parallel world. It's a parallel of Earth, but there's magic there, and the magic is ruled by the Zodiacs. And he's like, you are meant to be the heirs to our world. And if you come and graduate from Zodiac Academy, you will become the rulers of our world and we'll also give you a massive inheritance. These girls have grown up in foster homes. They are really skint. So they're like, hell yeah, we're going to come and get this inheritance, but we don't want to rule your world. There's 4 lads at the school. They are the heirs to the throne and they have been raised to be the heirs. Their families rule the kingdom since the girl's dad died. That's a whole other story. And they were really pissed off that the heirs have returned and they just make their lives hell. They're flipping horrible to them. So there is a lot of bullying in it, which was what I wasn't sure I was going to be able to cope with. However, the way the girls react to the bullying, it's quite witty. They are funny. They're very ballsy. They're not going to let the boys get away with bullying them. And I think that's why I did okay with it. So as I said, I rated this 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Bought the next one. Maybe a third of the way through that now. Some people hate this book, some people love this book. I'm a lover, it seems. What I didn't realise was there's about 29 books in the series and a spin-off series, so now I'm intimidated, but so far so good. 5 stars. And then I finished The Thirst by Jo Nesbø. This is book 11 in the Harry Hole series. If you've not heard of the Harry Hole series before, it's a Norwegian Scandi-noir crime thriller series. Harry Hole is a detective. He doesn't really like to follow the rules. He's got a history of alcoholism. He can be a bit of a naughty boy, but he's a bloody good detective and there's no case he's not solved, basically, except for in The Thirst, this killer comes back and it's the one person he never managed to catch. So he is getting back on the case. In this book, women are being killed after they go on Tinder dates and they're being killed by being bitten and their blood being drank. Hence the title being The Thirst. So they're known as vampirists, not vampires. And it's a psychological disorder. So there's a lot of psychology in this book talking about vampirists and stuff. As with all of the Harry Hole books that I've read, it's very gory, it's very graphic. This is not a cozy crime at all, so unless you can cope with a lot of visuals, then maybe don't read them. I personally absolutely love this series, hence why I've read 11 of the books, and I gave this one 5 stars. It was a good month. Unfortunately, I've only got 2 of these books left. I'm quite sad. I'm going to try and drag them out a little bit, I think. Oh, and I listened to that one on audio, I should say. Hence why I'm not holding anything. Then I finished The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I've heard a lot of hype about this book, and I was a little bit concerned going into it. It was a slow buddy read with my friend Catherine, which meant we weren't reading it at the same time, but we had a buddy read open on Storygraph so we could chat about it. This is a really nice Illumicrate edition, by the way. Love it. I really enjoyed this book. I absolutely loved Antonia Hodgson's writing. She was descriptive without it being flowery. She brought in all of the senses as well, so she talked about the smells of a lot of things, which I just loved. There was one little part about it that I didn't love, and that was when you get the Raven's POV, and it was a bit weird at first, and I was very confused as to why that was happening, but it does start to make more sense as you read the book. But in this world, the Emperor is coming to the end of his time as the Emperor, and instead of throne going to heirs in this world, there is a competition and delegates are picked from each monasteries. So there's trials in this book, but right at the beginning of the trials starting, is killed off. Our main character Nima is trusted with trying to find out who killed her, but then they're also dragging her in to be the contender for the Raven Monastery. So it's like a mixture between a fantasy book and a crime mystery, which I loved. I mean, they're my 2 favourite genres, so that was great. It's quite witty. The Fox Monastery are very silly and goofy, and the main male character, he's not really the main male character, but he's like her ex-boyfriend, is from the Monkey Monastery, so he brings quite a lot of humour into the book. I'm describing this very badly, but it's just a really good book. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of twists and turns to it. There's a lot of death in it come the end, and I'm really looking forward to the next book coming out. They have announced a title, I think it's called The Fox in Winter, but they haven't announced a release date yet. I'm just hoping Illumicrate bring out a matching special edition so I can buy that. And again, 5 stars. Then I finished off the month by listening to Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, the original trilogy, the OG trilogy. And again, absolutely loved it. I really enjoy the introduction of all the other tributes in this book, like Finnick, Beetee. Beetee forever has my heart. I love Beetee, love Finnick. Again, I'm not going to go into it. Everybody knows the Hunger Games, but I just, stands the test of time. Really, really enjoyed it. I've got about 2 hours left of Mockingjay. I didn't manage to get it finished before the end of the month, but who cares? I'm enjoying it. That was my month. Please let me know what your favourite book of the month is. If I need to pick my favourite book of the month, I think it's going to have to be The Awakening by the Twisted Sisters, Zodiac Academy #1, just because I ate it up. That doesn't mean it was necessarily better than the other 5 stars I gave. Just for me, it got a hold on me, and I just really enjoyed that. Bye.